Imagine standing at the summit of a mountain, the journey behind you full of twists, turns, and lessons learned. 70. Life offers a unique vantage point, a chance to look back with gratitude, live the present with mindfulness, and approach the future with peace. Turning 70 isn't just a milestone. It's a profound opportunity to reflect on what truly matters. This is a time to embrace simplicity, find strength in solitude, and prioritize the relationships and values that nurture your soul. In this exploration, we'll weave together personal reflections, timeless Buddhist teachings, and real-life stories to illuminate the wisdom of this stage. Whether you are entering this chapter yourself or seeking insights for life's journey, this piece will inspire mindfulness, compassion, and intentional living. Part 1. Time, a precious gift of life. Time is something we all think we understand, yet it's only as we grow older that we truly grasp its meaning. 70. Time no longer feels like an endless river stretching into the distance. Instead, it becomes a quiet companion, a gentle reminder of life's fragility and beauty. Each moment transforms into a gift, an irreplaceable treasure urging us to pause, breathe, and live with intention. The whisper of impermanence. In Buddhism, the teaching of Viothuang, impermanence, calls us to recognize that nothing lasts forever. Every moment is fleeting, slipping through our fingers like grains of sand. When we resist this truth, we suffer, but when we embrace it, we unlock a deeper understanding of life's beauty. Time, in its fleeting nature, becomes something to cherish, not something to fear. Think of a river. As children, we splash in its waters, carefree, not noticing its flow. In our youth, we're too busy running along its banks to consider its current. But by the time we reach 70, we stand still and watch. We see the ripples, the reflections, the way the river carries away leaves and branches, always moving forward. And in that moment, we realize the river is life, and we are simply part of its journey. The shift in perspective. When you're young, time feels infinite, and you spend it freely, as though there will always be more. Hours lost to idle chatter, chasing trivial goals, or engaging in relationships that add no meaning to your life seem inconsequential. The future always beckons, promising endless opportunities. But as you age, something changes. Time stops being a backdrop to your life. It becomes the focus. You no longer count the years ahead in decades, but in moments. Each sunrise becomes a miracle, each shared laugh a blessing. It's not the quantity of time that matters anymore, but the quality. 70. The moments that used to slip by unnoticed suddenly become your most cherished treasures. The first light of dawn, spilling golden hues across your room. The warm weight of a teacup in your hands as you sit quietly, savoring the peace of the morning. The crunch of autumn leaves beneath your feet as you walk slowly, appreciating the strength that still carries you forward. These simple, fleeting moments become your sanctuary, where life feels full and time, though finite, feels abundant in its richness. Time as a teacher. Time, once seen as an adversary, something to beat, to fill, or to manage, becomes a teacher at this stage of life. Teaches you what truly matters. Prioritization. Time reveals that not everything is worth your energy. It strips away the unnecessary and leaves you with what truly nourishes your soul. Acceptance. You learn to let go of regrets over wasted years. Those moments, though imperfect, were still part of your journey and helped shape the person you are today. Gratitude. Each new day becomes a blessing, a chance to see, feel, and experience the world with fresh eyes. These lessons, though profound, are not new. They are the same truths the Buddha shared over 2.500 years ago. He taught that clinging to the past or longing for the future only leads to suffering. True peace comes from living fully in the present moment. The beauty of mindful living. 70. Mindfulness isn't just a concept, it becomes a way of life. Every action, no matter how small, carries significance. Pouring a cup of tea becomes a meditative ritual. Watching a bird flutter outside your window becomes a moment of connection with the natural world. Even folding a piece of clothing becomes an act of love and care. Imagine this scene. An elderly figure sits quietly in a chair by the window. Outside, the world stirs to life. The soft hum of insects, the rustling of leaves, the faint glow of the rising sun. In their hands is a steaming cup of tea, its aroma wrapping around them like a warm embrace. For a moment, nothing else exists. No deadlines, no regrets, no worries about tomorrow. Just the tea, the warmth, the light, and the stillness of the present moment. This is mindfulness, a practice not of doing but of being. And it is in these quiet moments that time becomes sacred. A Zen story, The Farmer and the Grain of Rice. There is a Zen story that beautifully captures the essence of valuing time. Farmer, known for his tireless work, was asked why he cared so much about planting each grain of rice with such precision. After all, wouldn't the harvest come regardless? The farmer smiled and replied, "Each grain of rice is a moment of my life. To waste one is to waste the whole harvest." This simple truth reflects the shift that comes with age. Every moment, no matter how small, holds infinite potential for joy, connection, and meaning. The farmer didn't see his work as a task to complete but as a meditation, a way of honoring the time he was given. How to treasure time. As you journey through this chapter of life, there are simple ways to align your days with the beauty of time. Practice daily gratitude. Each morning, reflect on 3 things you are grateful for. This practice shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have. Live mindfully. Dedicate time to savoring your daily activities. Eat slowly, walk deliberately, and give your full attention to conversations. Let go of unnecessary commitments. Say no to what drains you and yes to what brings you peace and fulfillment. Time, when treated with care and intention, becomes your greatest ally. The King's Jar, a lesson in gratitude. An aging king once visited the Buddha, troubled by the passage of time and the inevitability of his own death. The Buddha handed him an empty jar and told him to fill it with a drop of water each day. The king, puzzled but obedient, began the task. At first, he paid it little mind, but as the years passed, the jar began to fill. One day, as he placed yet another drop into the jar, he noticed it was nearly full. In that moment, he realized the profound truth of impermanence. Every drop represented a day of his life, each one unique and irreplaceable. The king learned to treasure each moment, not because the jar would soon be full, but because every drop mattered. Closing thoughts. The gift of time. 70. Time is no longer something you chase or control. It's something you honor. It's a quiet yet powerful presence, urging you to slow down, reflect, and savor the beauty of your days. The Buddha's words echo across centuries. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. At this stage of life, this teaching becomes a guiding light. Time is not the enemy, it is a gift. And when you embrace it fully, you discover that the moments you once overlooked are the ones that shine the brightest. Part 2. Relationships, the seasons of connection. Relationships are the threads that weave the fabric of our lives. They bring warmth, laughter, companionship, and sometimes heartache. But as we age, we begin to see them differently. 70. Relationships are no longer about quantity or appearances. They are about depth, authenticity, and meaning. They are about cherishing the connections that nourish our souls and letting go of those that no longer serve us. The natural evolution of relationships. When we are young, relationships seem limitless. We surround ourselves with friends, acquaintances, colleagues, and family, believing that the more connections we have, the fuller our lives will be. We spend hours maintaining these ties, attending gatherings, and making calls, often out of obligation or fear of being left out. But as time passes, life naturally prunes the branches of our social tree. People move away, change, or drift apart. Some friendships end with a painful confrontation. while others fade quietly, like the gentle falling of leaves in autumn. First, these changes can feel like losses, proof that we failed to hold on. But as the years go by, we realize that this natural ebb and flow is not a loss but a transformation. Just as the seasons change, so do our relationships. Some remain evergreen, steadfast through the storms of life. Others bloom brightly for a time and then fall away, leaving behind memories as beautiful as spring blossoms. And some, like the autumn leaves, teach us the beauty of letting go, learning to let go. In Buddhism, the concept of Engipduyen, karmic connections, teaches that every person enters our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Some come to help us learn a lesson, others to share a brief but meaningful moment, and a rare few to walk with us for the long journey. Understanding this truth brings peace. It allows us to release relationships that have run their course without bitterness or regret. Letting go is not easy, can feel like losing a part of yourself. But holding on to relationships out of guilt or fear can weigh us down, draining our energy and clouding our joy. The Buddha once said, "You can only lose what you cling to. By letting go of what no longer serves us, we make space for what truly matters." The story of the raft. The Buddha shared a parable about a traveler who came to a great river. The traveler built a raft to cross it and reached the other side safely. However, instead of leaving the raft behind, they carried it on their back. Even as it became heavy and burdensome, the Buddha explained that the raft, like many relationships, serves a purpose, but once its purpose is fulfilled, clinging to it only creates suffering. The lesson is clear. We must learn to honor the role people play in our lives without holding on to them forever. 70. This wisdom feels especially poignant. Some relationships were once rafts that carried us through turbulent waters. Friends who comforted us in grief, colleagues who supported us in challenges, or loved ones who helped us grow. But not all are meant to last, and that's okay. Cherishing the relationships that remain. As relationships evolve, the ones that endure become even more precious. They are the connections that have weathered time, misunderstandings, and distance. They are the friends who truly see us, the family who loves us unconditionally, and the partners who continue to walk beside us. 70. These relationships feel like warm fires on a cold night. They don't demand constant attention. They simply offer comfort and light, a quiet conversation over tea, a shared memory that brings laughter, or even a simple hug can mean more than grand gestures. Imagine this moment. An elderly woman sits with her lifelong friend on a sunlit porch. They don't need to say much. A shared glance and a smile speak volumes, carrying the weight of decades of friendship. The wrinkles on their faces tell stories of laughter, loss, and resilience. In that moment, they are not just two people. They are a testament to the beauty of lasting connection. Redefining what matters. At this stage of life, relationships are no longer about impressing others or maintaining a large social circle. They are about mutual understanding, respect, and kindness. The author reflects on the relief of no longer needing to be everything to everyone. Instead, they focus on relationships that feel natural and reciprocal. This shift mirrors the Buddhist teaching of metta, or loving kindness. True relationships are not about taking. They are about giving and receiving in harmony. They lift us up, rather than weigh us down. They bring peace, not drama, forgiveness and healing. As we reflect on relationships, we may also revisit moments of hurt, betrayals, misunderstandings, or lost connections. These scars, though painful, hold the potential for healing. Buddhism teaches that forgiveness is not about excusing harm, but about releasing the burden of anger and resentment. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciling with someone who has hurt us. Sometimes it means letting go silently, in our own hearts. It's a way of freeing ourselves from the weight of the past, allowing us to move forward with lightness and peace. Visualize this. A man sits in meditation, imagining someone who hurt him deeply. Instead of dwelling on the pain, he breathes deeply and silently repeats, May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. With each repetition, he feels the anger dissolve, replaced by a quiet sense of release, nostalgia and gratitude. Even as we let go, there's room for nostalgia. 70. It's natural to look back on relationships that have faded and feel a pang of longing. A childhood friend, a mentor, or even a sibling who has taken a different path may cross our minds. But instead of feeling sadness, we can choose to feel gratitude. Those relationships, however brief, shaped us. They brought moments of joy, lessons, and growth. By honoring them for what they were, rather than mourning what they are not, we find peace. Practical steps for nurturing relationships. To embrace the relationships that matter and release those that do not. Consider these steps. Focus on quality. Spend time with people who bring joy, inspiration, and understanding into your life. Let go of the need to maintain superficial connections. Set boundaries. Protect your energy by saying no to relationships that feel one-sided or draining. Express gratitude. Tell the people you cherish how much they mean to you. A kind word or gesture can deepen bonds immeasurably. Forgive and move on. Release resentment toward those who have hurt you. This act of forgiveness is as much for your peace as it is for theirs. Closing the chapter with love. 70. Relationships become fewer but richer. They are no longer about filling space but about filling the heart. Each connection is like a thread in the tapestry of life, some bold and bright, others delicate and fleeting, but all essential to the whole. The Buddha taught that relationships are like mirrors, reflecting both our strengths and our weaknesses. They challenge us, comfort us, and ultimately help us grow. As we step into this chapter of life, may we cherish the threads that remain and let go of the ones that have frayed, knowing that every connection, no matter how brief, has brought us closer to understanding love. Part 3: Solitude, the quiet strength. Solitude is often misunderstood. Many people see it as loneliness, something to fear or avoid. But as we grow older, solitude reveals itself as something far more profound. 70. Solitude becomes a sanctuary, a space where we rediscover ourselves, reflect on life's journey, and find a peace that no crowd or gathering can offer. It is not about being alone. It is about being with yourself, fully present and at ease. The Buddhist perspective on solitude. In Buddhist teachings, solitude is not an escape from the world, but a way of connecting deeply with the essence of life. The Buddha himself achieved enlightenment in solitude. Meditating under the Bodhi tree, he understood that silence and stillness are fertile grounds for insight and clarity. The concept of viveka, the joy of solitude, is central to Buddhism. It teaches that stepping away from the noise of the world allows us to hear the truths within. In solitude, we confront our thoughts, free from distractions, and begin to understand ourselves more deeply. The shift from loneliness to solitude. In youth, solitude often feels unbearable. Being alone can stir feelings of inadequacy or fear of missing out. We seek company, validation, and constant activity to fill the silence. But as we age, solitude transforms. It is no longer an absence of others, but a presence of self. 70. Solitude becomes a friend. It offers a quiet strength that comes from within, a sense of completeness that does not rely on external validation. The author reflects on the joy of sitting quietly by a window, watching the world move outside, and feeling no need to chase it. Imagine this moment. A gentle breeze rustles the curtains of an open window. An elderly figure sits in a comfortable chair, gazing out at a peaceful garden. Birds flutter between branches, and sunlight dances on the leaves. There is no rush, no need to do or say anything. In this stillness, there is contentment, a profound sense of being exactly where they need to be. The power of simple pleasures. Solitude allows us to reconnect with life's simple pleasures. These moments, though small, carry immense beauty and meaning. Sitting with a warm cup of tea, feeling its heat seep into your hands, walking slowly through a quiet park, hearing the crunch of leaves underfoot and the distant hum of the world, watching the rain fall, each drop painting the window with a story of impermanence. These experiences remind us that joy is not found in grand achievements or busy schedules, but in the quiet appreciation of what is already here. Story. A Zen monk was once asked why he spent hours raking leaves in the temple garden, knowing that the wind would scatter them again. He replied, "The act of raking brings peace. The wind will always scatter the leaves, but the peace remains." This story teaches us that solitude, like the act of raking, is not about achieving something external. It is about cultivating inner harmony, reflection, and growth in solitude. 70. Solitude becomes a space for reflection. It allows us to revisit memories not with regret, but with gratitude. We see the lessons in past mistakes, the strength born from heartbreak, and the joy that accompanied fleeting moments of connection. In Buddhism, solitude is also a path to self-discovery. Meditation, for example, is a solitary practice that helps us observe our thoughts without judgment. By sitting with ourselves, we gain clarity about who we are and what truly matters. Imagine this moment. An elderly woman sits cross-legged on a cushion, eyes closed, breathing deeply. Her mind drifts to moments from her past. A child's laughter, a difficult goodbye, a long-forgotten sunset. With each memory, she feels not sadness but a quiet gratitude. She breathes in, acknowledging the memory, and breathes out, letting it go. In the stillness, she feels whole, the strength found in solitude. Solitude is not weakness, it is strength. It takes courage to face yourself without distraction, to sit with your thoughts and emotions. But in doing so, you find a resilience that no amount of external validation can provide. Buddhist teachings often compare solitude to a lotus flower. The lotus grows in muddy water, yet it blooms in pure, untouched beauty. Similarly, solitude allows us to rise above the noise and chaos of life, revealing the clarity and peace within. Story. A wandering monk traveled alone for years, carrying only a bowl and a blanket. When asked if he ever felt lonely, he replied, "The stars keep me company. The wind whispers its stories. The earth cradles me as I sleep. How can I feel lonely when the whole world is with me?" This story reminds us that solitude connects us not just to ourselves, but to the greater world around us. Practical ways to embrace solitude. If solitude feels unfamiliar or uncomfortable, there are simple ways to make it a source of joy and strength. Create a quiet space. Dedicate a corner of your home to stillness. A comfortable chair, a candle, or a plant can transform this space into a sanctuary. Practice mindful activities. Whether it's gardening, painting, or simply sitting in nature, choose activities that allow you to be fully present. Reflect through journaling. Write down your thoughts, memories, or feelings. Journaling can be a powerful way to process and appreciate your experiences. Spend time in nature. Walk alone in a park, sit by a lake, or watch the clouds drift across the sky. Nature's rhythms remind us of the beauty in simplicity. Balancing solitude and connection. While solitude is enriching, it doesn't mean shutting ourselves off from the world. In fact, time spent alone makes our connections with others more meaningful. When we engage with others after time in solitude, we do so with intention and presence. Imagine this moment after a peaceful morning spent in reflection. An elderly man visits his granddaughter. As they sit together, he listens to her stories with undivided attention. His time in solitude has filled him with patience and gratitude, allowing him to savor this connection fully. Conclusion. The joy of solitude. Solitude is not something to fear, but something to embrace. 70. It offers a profound opportunity to reconnect with yourself, reflect on your journey, and find strength in simply being. It reminds us that we are complete, not because of what we do or who we are with, but because of who we are. In the quiet of solitude, we discover a truth that has always been there. Peace is not something we find outside of ourselves. It is something we carry within. Part 4. Trust, a fragile bond. Trust is one of life's most delicate treasures. It is the invisible thread that binds us to others, allowing relationships to flourish and hearts to open. Yet, as the years pass, we come to realize how fragile that thread can be. 70. Trust is no longer given freely or carelessly. Instead, it is extended with care, shaped by a lifetime of experiences, some joyful, others painful, the lessons of trust over a lifetime. When we are young, trust comes naturally. We believe in the goodness of others and assume their intentions align with their words. But life, in its complexity, often teaches us otherwise. Broken promises, betrayals, and unspoken truths leave their mark, making us more cautious as we age. The author reflects on these moments, times when trust was shattered, leaving scars that lingered long after the people involved had gone. Whether it was a friend who betrayed a confidence, a family member who distanced themselves without explanation, or a partner whose loyalty faltered, each experience served as a painful but necessary lesson. The balance of openness and caution. By the time we reach 70, trust is no longer given freely but earned slowly. This is not a sign of bitterness but of wisdom. We learn to balance openness with caution, allowing new connections to form while protecting our hearts from unnecessary harm. Imagine this moment. An elderly woman sits across from a new acquaintance, sipping tea. She listens attentively, her face calm but watchful. She feels a flicker of connection but holds back, waiting to see if their actions match their words. She no longer rushes to trust, but neither does she close herself off entirely. This balance brings her peace. In Buddhism, the Kalama Sutta emphasizes this discernment. The Buddha taught that we should not blindly believe what we hear, even from trusted sources. Instead, we must observe, question, and test before placing our trust. This teaching encourages a mindful approach to relationships, one that protects us from unnecessary suffering. Trusting yourself. Perhaps the greatest lesson about trust is that it begins within. Over the years, we come to understand that trusting others is only possible when we trust ourselves, our instincts, judgments, and ability to walk away from harmful situations. The author reflects on moments of self-doubt, times when they ignored red flags because they wanted so badly to believe in someone. But with time and reflection, they learned to trust their own intuition, even when it meant making difficult choices. Story: a traveler once asked the Buddha, "How can I trust others after being betrayed?" The Buddha replied, "First, trust yourself. Trust your ability to see clearly, to walk away when needed, and to forgive without forgetting. When you trust yourself, you will know whom to trust and whom to release." The weight of betrayal. Betrayal is one of life's heaviest burdens. It leaves us questioning not only the person who hurt us but also ourselves. How did we not see it coming? Could we have prevented it? These questions linger, often long after the relationship has ended. 70. These memories may still surface, but with age comes perspective. The author reflects on the betrayals they experienced and the anger that once consumed them. Over time, they realized that holding onto that anger only gave power to those who had wronged them. By releasing the pain and choosing forgiveness, not for the other person's sake, but for their own, they found freedom. Forgiving without forgetting. Forgiveness is not about excusing someone's actions or inviting them back into your life. It is about releasing the burden of resentment so that it no longer weighs you down. 70. Forgiveness becomes an act of self-care. In Buddhist practice, forgiveness meditation involves visualizing the person who hurt you and silently offering them compassion. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you find peace. This practice is not easy, but it is transformative. It allows us to let go of the past and reclaim our peace. Imagine this moment. An elderly man sits alone in a quiet room, his eyes closed in meditation. In his mind, he sees the face of someone who betrayed him long ago. At first, the memory stings, but as he breathes deeply, he silently repeats, "May you find peace. With each repetition, the weight of the betrayal begins to lift, leaving him lighter and freer. The joy of earned trust. While trust can be fragile, it is also one of life's greatest joys when nurtured carefully. 70. The relationships built on mutual trust feel more meaningful than ever. These are the connections that have stood the test of time. The friend who has been there through every season. The family member who has shown unwavering support. The partner who remains a steadfast companion. These relationships, though few, are priceless. They remind us that while trust may take time to build, it is worth every effort. They are like the roots of a tree, grounding us even in life's strongest storms. The balance of boundaries. Part of trusting wisely is setting boundaries. The author reflects on the importance of saying no to relationships that drain energy or bring harm. Boundaries are not about shutting people out, but about protecting your peace. Story. The Buddha once told a parable about a snake. A monk, seeing the snake, wanted to move it from the path to protect others. But as he reached out, the snake struck, leaving him wounded. The Buddha explained that compassion must be paired with caution. Just as the monk should have used a stick to guide the snake, we must approach certain relationships with care. Practical steps for navigating trust. As we navigate relationships at this stage of life, here are ways to cultivate trust without compromising peace. Trust gradually. Allow trust to grow over time through consistent actions, not words alone. Listen to your instincts. If something feels off, honor that feeling. Your intuition is a powerful guide. Set boundaries. Protect your energy by saying no to relationships that feel one-sided or harmful. Forgive for yourself. Release anger and resentment, even if the person doesn't ask for forgiveness. Trust in the world. 70. Trust extends beyond personal relationships. It becomes a question of how we engage with the world. The author reflects on the moments of kindness they've encountered. A neighbor who brought food during a storm. A stranger who offered a helping hand. These small acts restore faith in humanity, reminding us that while trust may be harder to give, it is not impossible. Story. A traveler, weary from his journey, was offered food and shelter by a kind villager. The traveler asked, "Why do you trust me, a stranger?" The villager replied, "Because trust is like planting seeds. Some will bear fruit, and some will not. But without planting, there is no harvest." Conclusion. Trust as a delicate balance. 70. Trust becomes simpler in its complexity. It is no longer given blindly but earned through actions. It is not held tightly but balanced with caution and forgiveness. And most importantly, it begins with trusting yourself. In this chapter of life, trust is both a gift and a responsibility. It reminds us to approach the world with an open heart but also with wisdom. As the Buddha taught, the wise man builds gates, not walls. Trust allows us to open those gates when love, kindness, and connection come knocking. Part 5. Gratitude and reflection, the heart of fulfillment. 70. Life begins to take on a different rhythm. The hurried pace of youth and middle age fades, replaced by a quieter, more deliberate tempo. It's a time of reflection, a chance to look back on the journey traveled and ahead to the days yet to come. And at the heart of this stage lies gratitude, a profound recognition of life's blessings, both large and small. Gratitude transforms this chapter into one of peace, fulfillment, and deep appreciation for the gift of being alive. The beauty of gratitude. Gratitude is not just about saying, "Thank you." It's a state of being, a lens through which we view the world. 70. Gratitude becomes an anchor, grounding us in the present moment and illuminating even the smallest joys. Life may no longer be filled with the same energy or ambition it once was, but there is a richness in its simplicity. The warmth of the sun on your face during a morning walk, the laughter of grandchildren playing in the yard, the comfort of a familiar chair and a favorite book on a quiet afternoon. These moments may seem ordinary, but they are the treasures of this chapter, waiting to be savored. Imagine this moment. An elderly woman sits on her porch as the sun sets, She holds a steaming cup of tea in her hands and listens to the sound of birds calling in the distance. As the sky shifts from gold to deep purple, she closes her eyes and breathes deeply. In that moment, she feels a profound sense of gratitude, not for anything grand, but for the simple beauty of being alive. Reflection. A life well lived. Gratitude and reflection go hand in hand. 70. There is a natural inclination to look back on the years that have passed, the triumphs, the challenges, the relationships that shaped us. This reflection is not about dwelling on regrets, but about honoring the journey, seeing how each moment, even the painful ones, contributed to who we are today. Buddhist wisdom. The Buddha taught that suffering and joy are intertwined, like the roots of a tree. Without suffering, there can be no understanding of joy. Reflection allows us to see how even the hardest moments were opportunities for growth and resilience. The practice of daily gratitude. Gratitude is not always automatic. It requires practice. Incorporating small, intentional acts of gratitude into daily life can shift our mindset from scarcity to abundance. These practices include morning gratitude ritual. Begin each day by naming 3 things you are grateful for. They don't have to be grand. Sometimes the smallest things hold the most meaning. Gratitude journaling. Write down moments of joy or kindness that occurred throughout the day. Over time, this becomes a powerful reminder of life's blessings. Mindful appreciation. Take a moment during everyday activities, drinking tea, walking in nature, or speaking with a loved one, to pause and feel gratitude for the experience. Imagine this moment. An elderly man sits at a small desk each evening with a notebook in hand. He writes, "Today, I am grateful for the sound of the rain, the smile of my neighbor, and the strength in my legs during my morning walk." As he closes the notebook, he feels a quiet contentment settle over him. Gratitude for relationships. Reflection naturally turns to relationships. 70. We begin to truly appreciate the people who have walked with us on this journey. Friends, family, mentors, and even brief acquaintances all have left their mark. Some relationships have faded, while others remain strong, but each played a role in shaping our lives. Gratitude allows us to honor these connections without clinging to what no longer is. Story. An elderly woman received a letter from a childhood friend she hadn't spoken to in decades. The friend wrote, "I just wanted you to know that your kindness during those difficult years meant the world to me." The woman smiled as she read it, realizing how even small acts of love can leave lasting impressions. Gratitude for life's challenges. It's easy to feel grateful for the good times, but life's challenges often hold the deepest lessons. 70. There is a sense of pride and resilience in having weathered storms, whether it was a loss, a betrayal, or a failure. These moments, though painful, helped forge strength, compassion, and wisdom. Buddhist wisdom. The lotus flower grows in muddy water but emerges pure and beautiful. Similarly, our struggles give rise to growth and transformation. Imagine this reflection. An elderly man looks at an old photograph of himself during a difficult chapter in his life. He remembers the sleepless nights and the doubt that clouded his mind. But as he reflects, he also sees how that time taught him to persevere and appreciate the light that eventually followed the darkness. He whispers to himself, "Thank you for the lesson." Gratitude for the present moment. 70. The present moment becomes a source of immense gratitude. There is no need to rush or achieve. Simply being is enough. Each breath, each step, each shared laugh becomes a reason to give thanks. Imagine this moment. A grandmother sits with her grandchild, watching as they draw pictures on a scrap of paper. The child looks up and says, "Look, Grandma, I made this for you." The grandmother takes the drawing, her eyes welling with tears. She feels the weight of the moment, a fleeting, precious gift of connection. Gratitude as a way of life. Gratitude is not about ignoring pain or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing to focus on what is good and beautiful, even in the midst of life's imperfections. It's about recognizing that every moment, no matter how small, Hold something to be thankful for. Story. A Zen master was once asked why he smiled so often, even in challenging times. He replied, "Because every breath is a miracle. To waste it on anything but gratitude would be a shame." Practical ways to deepen gratitude. Create a gratitude jar. Write down things you are thankful for on small slips of paper and place them in a jar. On difficult days, pull out a note to remind yourself of life's blessings. Thank someone every day. Reach out to a loved one, a friend, or even a stranger to express your appreciation. Gratitude shared is gratitude multiplied. Pause and observe. Take a moment during transitions, walking through a doorway, finishing a meal, or lying down to sleep to silently say, "Thank you." Conclusion. A life filled with gratitude. Gratitude transforms the way we see the world. 70. Turns everyday moments into miracles, challenges into lessons, and relationships into treasures. It is the light that softens life's edges and brings warmth to even the coldest days. As the Buddha taught, let us rise up and be thankful. For if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die. So, let us all be thankful. Through gratitude, life becomes not just something to endure but something to celebrate. It is the quiet joy that fills the heart and reminds us that every moment, every breath, is a gift. Part 6. Embracing the present chapter, a life of peace and simplicity. 70. Life no longer feels like a race. The urgency of chasing goals, accumulating possessions, or meeting others' expectations fades away. What remains is a quiet, profound understanding of what truly matters. This chapter of life is not about endings, it's about beginnings. It's about embracing simplicity, living authentically, and finding peace in the moments that often go unnoticed. A shift in perspective. In youth, we often live as if there's an endless horizon of tomorrows. We push ourselves to do more, be more, and achieve more, believing fulfillment lies somewhere in the future. But as the years pass, we come to see that the most meaningful moments are the ones happening right now. 70. This realization becomes clearer than ever. The author reflects on the joy of slowing down, of savoring the warmth of the morning sun, the softness of a loved one's smile, or the gentle rhythm of breathing. These are the moments that anchor us in the present and remind us of life's beauty. Simplicity as a source of joy. Buddhist teachings often speak of Solitude, contentment with what we have. This is not about settling, but about recognizing that true happiness does not come from external achievements or possessions. It comes from appreciating the present moment, just as it is. Imagine this scene. An elderly figure tends to a small garden. They kneel in the soil, planting seeds with care. The task is simple, yet their heart feels full. The scent of earth, the sound of birds, and the promise of new life in the soil bring a quiet, profound joy, letting go of expectations. With age comes the freedom to let go of expectations, those imposed by society, others, and even ourselves. 70. There is no need to prove anything to anyone. Instead, there is space to live authentically, to embrace who you are without apology. The author reflects on how liberating it feels to say no to obligations that don't align with their values. They no longer feel the need to explain their choices or justify their priorities. This clarity allows them to focus on what truly matters: health, meaningful relationships, and inner peace. Story. The Buddha once shared a parable about a man carrying a heavy load on his back. The load represented expectations, regrets, and societal pressures. When the man finally set it down, he felt a profound sense of relief. The Buddha explained, "The load was never yours to carry. The courage to live authentically. Living authentically requires courage. It means making choices that honor your well-being, even if they go against the grain." 70. The author reflects on the strength it takes to prioritize peace over approval, solitude over shallow connections, and quality over quantity in every area of life. Imagine this moment. An elderly woman stands by the ocean, her feet sinking into the cool sand. She closes her eyes and feels the breeze on her face. She smiles, not because everything in her life is perfect, but because she feels deeply connected to herself and the world around her. This is what it means to live authentically, looking forward with hope. While this chapter is a time for reflection, it is also a time for anticipation. There is still so much to learn, create, and experience, whether it's nurturing a garden, exploring a new hobby, or simply sitting quietly with a loved one. The future holds infinite possibilities. Buddhist teachings remind us that life is not measured in years, but in moments of presence. As the Buddha said, "Every morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most." Closing reflections. As the author looks back on their life, they feel a deep sense of gratitude, not because every moment was easy, but because every moment was meaningful. The triumphs brought joy, the challenges brought growth, and the quiet moments brought peace. This chapter is not the end but a culmination. It is a time to honor the life that has been lived while remaining open to whatever comes next. It is a reminder that life's greatest gifts are often found in its simplest moments. Conclusion: a life of peace and purpose. 70. Life becomes clearer. The noise of the world quiets, and what remains is the truth. Time is precious, and every moment is a gift. Relationships, though they may change, are the heart of our journey. Solitude is not loneliness but strength. Trust, while fragile, is one of life's greatest joys. Gratitude transforms life's imperfections into beauty, and living authentically brings a peace that no external success can match. As the Buddha taught, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. This chapter of life is a chance to embody that wisdom, to live simply, love deeply, and cherish every breath. This is your journey, too. What have you learned about time, relationships, or solitude? How have you embraced gratitude and peace in your life? Take a moment to reflect and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let us build a community of wisdom, where we inspire and uplift one another. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Lotus Light Teachings. Together, let's explore the timeless truths that guide us toward a life of mindfulness, compassion, and joy. Thank you for joining us. May you find peace in every moment, and may your journey be filled with light. Namaste.